Could you please describe to us what the new money, the £57 million over 5 years from the National Institute for Health Research and the new structure of the Oxford Biomedical Research Centre will enable researchers and the NHS to do differently?
Well, in Oxford we have a tradition as engineers of working with clinicians, but what this new money gives us an opportunity to do is to plan ahead for the next 3 to 5 years how we can take our research and take it into the clinic, into the ward, into the patient's daily care, if you will, for the benefit of patients.
Could you describe some of the relationship between the work that you do, your field of expertise, and patient care, how that interconnects?
Yes, the national health system is about health, not disease, and therefore there is an emphasis on trying to keep people healthy. And one of the projects we've been working on with the Department of Public Health and Primary Care is the management of long-term conditions. There are quite a few people out there, in fact probably a couple of million in terms of diabetes, 5 million in terms of asthma. In this country you've got conditions such as diabetes and asthma. And provided you manage your condition properly, you will stay healthy and out of hospital. And the aim of the work we've been doing with our clinical collaborators in the Department of Public Health and Primary Care is to give them appropriate technology to help them stay healthy. And in this case, the appropriate technology is mobile phones, because we all have one. And the idea of what we've been doing with the mobile phone technology is to make it possible for people to stay in control and therefore to avoid these quite awful long-term complications of diabetes.
Could you describe some of the innovative studies that are underway or about to commence?
Yes, we've had a project that was initially centred in the intensive care unit, the ICU here at the John Radcliffe Hospital, and we are moving that project into the A&E, Accident and Emergency Department. In the A&E and indeed the recovery ward, for example, nurses are very busy, patients are monitored but not always observed by the nurses. And what happens is occasionally patients deteriorate when they're not being observed by the nurses. And so the technology that we've been developing is a way of watching the patient. It's something that we've done here in the university on jet engines previously to make sure that they don't go wrong when the plane is flying, and we're adapting that technology for the benefit of patients. It's monitoring what we call the vital signs, the oxygen levels, the heart rate, the breathing rate, the temperature, the blood pressure of the patient, which is what the nurse records on a regular basis, usually every 4 hours if you're outside of intensive care. The problem is if something goes wrong between those 4 hours, sometimes the alarms are not picked up. And what we're making sure with this technology is that if anything at all goes wrong, as soon as it happens, that an alarm is sounded and the nurse can be alerted and brought to the patient's bedside. So it's early warning, it's immediate detection of patient deterioration to make sure that any problem is picked up as soon as possible, because of course the earlier you pick up a problem, the better the outcome for the patient.
Could you describe the mobile phone technology that you were talking about in the management of chronic diabetes?
The idea of using mobile phone technology is that we all have a mobile phone, we use it daily, so maybe a minute or two spent every day using this simple to use technology which is with you on your mobile phone, so if you travel abroad or if you go and visit a relative, you still got it with you, helps you to manage your life better. What we did with diabetes, we've also done with asthma, and what we used to tell the people with asthma is when you brush your teeth in the morning, have your mobile phone with you so you can just check how you're doing with your asthma as well. What I'm going to show you is the technology such as it exists now, and that's the first version of the technology which we've developed in collaboration with a university spin-out company called T+ Medical. What we're doing now as part of this NIHR collaboration is to take it a stage further. Now that we've got thousands of users, we know what they've been asking us is the next step, which is to be able to manage your diet, your meals, your carbohydrate intake. So one focus of our research with this new NHS funding is to move into the next stage based on what patients have been telling us or what people with diabetes have been telling us, which is they also want to use the mobile phone to manage their food intake. So we're developing that with nutritionists, as part of the funding that we've got, and we're hoping to have that ready in a few months. One other use of the technology that the funding will allow us to develop is when people who've got type 2 diabetes, that's the one you get because of problems in your diet, overweight and so on. You first of all manage through diet and exercise, then through oral medications, through having to take pills, but then after maybe 1 or 2 decades, you eventually have to start taking insulin yourself, injecting yourself with insulin. Now, if that happens when you're in your 50s, your 60s, it can be quite a daunting task to know how to do that. So again, we want to put a little bit of help by giving people the right guidance using their mobile phones when they're first switching on to using insulin. So we call this insulin initiation, and that's one other major focus of the new work that we're going to be doing.
Could you describe some of the benefits to staff working in the NHS of your diabetes technology program?
Yes, I mean, we've talked about patients or people with diabetes and asthma so far and their mobile phones, but of course the whole thing is a partnership. It's the person with diabetes effectively is in partnership with a diabetes nurse or the asthma nurse if they've got asthma and so on. So how can we also enhance that partnership? Now, the person that will probably have most contact with them, in primary care at least, is the community nurse, for example, or the community matron. Now, at the moment, these nurses tend to manage of the order of 50 patients. And that's because in many ways they're managing them blind. They don't know how they're getting on, and so they'll call them occasionally, they might get in the car to do a home visit and so on. The beauty of the technology is that the nurse will know by logging on to the clinic webpage or the district nurse webpage and looking at the patients. We prioritize them, and the patients are prioritized as part of the software, so the nurse will be told who, for example, hasn't sent in any readings for a while, who's had low blood sugars or high blood sugars. So he or she will know exactly how the person with diabetes in this example is getting on, and as a result of that can call them on their mobile phone, can discuss how they're getting on, and if needs be go and see them. But the point is, instead of managing them blind, she's now managing them on the basis of shared information. And that actually is a very good motivation for the patients as well, because they know that somebody knows how they're getting on. They know also that that information is immediate and up to date, and if any problems have arisen, they can be discussed. What it means from the point of view of the staff is, instead of a community nurse managing 50 patients, she will now be able to manage 500 or so, because she's no longer managing blind. So the 400 or the 450 who are getting on fine, then they can get an occasional phone call, every couple of months or so on, just to reassure them that they've not been forgotten, simply because they're doing well. But those who have difficulties, then the nurse can target these patients, phone them, maybe go and see them, and discuss with them how they've been getting on the basis of the data that the mobile phones made available to her.